All right, welcome to this week's episode with Monday Mobility. I just got done with about a 4-mile run. It's a hot, muggy one out there today, about 80 degrees. Great running stretch here. We're looking at like a runner's stride stretch. However, there's quite a few different variations we can apply to this to put a little more emphasis on your quad, your hip flexor, glute. So I'm just going to take you through one stretch that you can do about 3 or 4 different ways to feel it in different areas. Or maybe if you're tighter in one area, you should be doing it one specific way rather than another. So the basic stretch is basically a lunge. And rather than a typical exercise lunge, which looks like a range of motion like right here, we are going to slide the hips forward and basically keeping neutral spine without arching, without rounding forward. So what I like to say is get tall first and then just let your hips glide and push into the stretch forward, kind of gliding this forward. You can see my hip is a lot further up in front than my back knee. You'll feel a lot of hip flexor, maybe a little bit of quad. Same thing on this side. You can see my hips dipped a little bit lower than my knees, so you might even get a little hamstring and glute on this side. But the key point here is neutral spine and kind of gliding and pushing those hips forward to amplify that stretch. Ways we can tweak this. We can elevate the front leg. If we elevate the front leg, now we can even emphasize a little bit more through this hamstring and glute here, because now the knee's even further up, which is going to put a little bit more active stretch through that hamstring and glute on this front side here. So you'll feel a little bit differently with that front foot elevated, which we can do the exact same thing with the back knee elevated. To crank through. Now I feel a ton more through this hip flexor here with that back leg elevated there. So really feel an intense stretch to this hip flexor, gliding forward and pushing into that stretch with that back leg elevated. Kind of a double-edged sword here. We can do this with or without the pad, but we can place a back leg up on the wall and then get into a front foot elevated. And here, because the foot's elevated, you're going to feel a pull through that quad, kind of like when people do that standing quad stretch. So from here to kind of glide forward, now I get a lot more through the quad, the hip flexor, and hamstring and glute. So quite a few different variations. Think of your running stride, and this really opens up that running stride. So yes, we can focus inner thigh, outer thigh, working on those stabilizers, but as far as that running stride specific, right here, open up in this position, get comfortable. It'll really help make your running stride a little more efficiently. Great to hop into this after a run. So incorporate it after a run, see how it feels, see how your next couple runs feel. So Monday Mobility, we're looking at the strider stretch.